Councilmember Lee,
Present.
Councilmember Hart. You have 2 members and a quorum, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Villanueva. Members, Councilmember Lee, if there are no objections or questions, I would like to take items 1 through 4 and 6 through 8 on consent.
Just real quickly, I think maybe we should take public comment before we take it on
yes.
consent.
Yes, let's go ahead. Well, I mean, I was gonna get to that part, but yes, let's do public comment first. Thank you.
Okay, we'll be taking public comment now. You will have 1 minute per item to speak, 2 minutes total for multiple agenda items, and 1 minute for general public comment. When speaking on the agenda items, please be on topic. If you're speaking on general public comment, please address topics within the jurisdiction of this committee. If you do not, we'll give you 1 warning. If you continue to stay off topic, you'll get another warning from us before you're cut off, and then you're asked to stop your public comment.
And just wanted to add that we'll have time for commission appointees to speak in a little bit, but we're just going to go ahead and get started with public comment first, and then we'll open it up to you all. So first up, we just got the rules. Can we get Christy Metropoli up for public comment, please? Thank you. Hi, right over here.
Oh, where do I go?
Right there. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Christy Metropole, and I'm the CEO of an organization called Stray Cat Alliance, and we have partnered with the city for over 20 years. We work very closely with LA Animal Services.
Excuse me, are you
5.
speaking on item 5? Okay.
Sorry. I'm rusty. I haven't done this in a while. I'm speaking about the appointment of Stacey Daines as the new general manager of Animal Services. We are very, very much in support of her being the new general manager. I've personally worked with her for many years in Long Beach and have seen, and also knew her when she was in San Jose. She is an amazing mixture of a general manager who understands about public safety, about the humane community, about volunteers and staff. She, I believe, will really find ways to increase our spay and neuter, which is a big problem in the whole country. And she will lead us to saving lives and doing really good things for the city of Los Angeles. I cannot support her more. We are now, Stray Cat Alliance is now in the Jefferson Park facility. We're saving about over 1,000 cats a year from LA Animal Services and spaying and neutering over 2,000. And we're in that facility. Is my time up? Okay. Yay, Stacy.
Thank you. Great work.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Donald Harlan. And I see that you signed up for all items and general public comment, so you'll get 2 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general public comment.
Hi, thanks. Good morning. I'm Donald Harlan. Hi, good morning. Hi, I wanted to speak quickly about the appointments 1 through 5. I'm sorry, I don't know you guys. I really looked. I just thought that there needed to be some pressure applied towards some of the mayor's appointments and some of the political appointments by people working in the city or people that just arrived from other jobs in the government, political campaign lawyers and their families and that type of thing. I thought that maybe some of the appointments might be rejected based upon those reasons. I'm sorry, I'm not pointing out anybody today. I'm just saying in general that there's a lot of appointments. I know there's a lot of openings, a lot of opportunities, but there's a lot of crime going on in the city and a lot of corruption. And what I see is somebody's trying to get advantage by putting people in there to make up stuff that's not theirs. And then agenda item number 6, the 109th Street property there. That's my property. I see it's a recreation center. I just don't believe in the program LA for Kids. There's no city program in the city to develop things for kids. The money will never come from the city general fund for that. Another thing, big one. Oh, number 8. You guys can try and stop the Olympics happening in LA any way possible. That's great. Don't let them do anything about that. Agenda item number 7, the Sepulveda Basin development. There's going to be no development in the Sepulveda Basin. Beverly Hills belongs to me. most of the Santa Monica Mountains right there belongs to me. Most of those mountains right there belong to me. I heard you guys had yesterday a big meeting about development in the mountains, and that's not to happen at all. Those are my properties, and I really do own those mountains. And there's to be no agenda item number 7, Florida Basin Development. No
Thank you,
infrastructure.
Mr. Harlan.
Okay, general comment?
Oh,
Okay, sorry I don't arrive at this meeting very often. I don't really come over here and lean on you guys about the amount of corruption that goes through the city by your appointments and your attempts to empower neighborhood councils to do illegal real estate developments. There's no office in the city of Los Angeles. There's no office here in the city hall or any of the neighborhoods that issues building permits or authorizations to develop real estate. And we have a big problem with corruption with you guys, specifically right here in this committee, the Neighborhood and Community Enrichment Committee, encouraging communities to do illegal real estate developments without the owner's consent. And you're doing it for political favors, and we see you putting people on appointing people to commissions and things that are going to do exactly that. And I don't see you guys really doing anything other here than committing crimes or enabling it.
Time's up, Mr. Harlan. Thank you.
Thank you. And Madam Chair, there are no more speakers on the queue.
thank you so much, Santi, and thank you, Mr. Harlan. There are no more speakers in the queue. Councilmember Lee, members, is it okay if we go ahead and move forward with our consent items, which I had mentioned earlier are items 1 through 4 and 6 through 8? Thank you, Councilmember. Ms. Ramirez, can you please read those items into the record?
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 1, communication from the mayor relative to the reappointment of Ms. Catherine Unger to the Cultural Affairs Commission. Item 2, communication from the mayor relative to the reappointment of Mark Gonzalez to the Board of Zoo Commissioners. Item 3, communication from the mayor relative to the reappointment of Renata Simri to the Board of Recreation and Parks Commissioners. Item 4, communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of James Rensbo to the Board of Animal Services Commissioners. Item 6, LA for Kids Steering Committee and Board of Recreation and Park Commissioners reports relative to authorizing the Department of Recreation and Parks to apply for a Measure A grant for capital improvements at the 109th Street Recreation Center. Item 7, Board of Recreation and Parks Commissioners report relative to fiscal year 2022 Economic Development Initiative Community Project Funding Grant Award for the Sepulveda Basin Sports Complex New Community Room and New Ranger Station Project. Item 8, Joint City Administrative Officer, CAO, Chief Legislative Analyst, CLA, Board of Recreation and Parks and Department of Recreation and Parks report relative to fiscal year 2023-24 project plan with the Los Angeles 2028 Organizing Committee for the 2028 Olympic and Paralympic Games.
Great, thank you so much, Ms. Ramirez. And before we take a vote on these items, are any of our appointees here that would like to say a few words? Ms. Unger, Mr. Gonzalez, Ms. Simmerell, Mr. Jensvold? Go ahead, please.
Hi, Kathy Unger. I was appointed briefly, and I've gone to 2 meetings, and I'm so pleased to be reappointed, and thank you for allowing me to do this.
Thank you so much, Ms. Unger. I have a quick question, if that's okay. Of course. Thank you so much for joining us and for your dedication. As we come out of the pandemic, what kind of cultural programming that wasn't possible the last few years are you hoping to see in the city?
Really more, and it's interesting because it's actually come up in the 2 meetings that I've attended, but participation in neighborhoods with community, and this is neighborhoods all over the city, not just in certain parts of the city, and really focusing in on exposing young people to culture, to art, and that's something that I really hope to see more of.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Unger.
Thank you.
And please lean on us to help make that happen because we want to see it too.
Okay,
Thank you. Anyone else? Any of our other appointees? Okay, excellent. Mr. Villanueva, can you please call the roll for these items?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Councilmember Hernandez,
Yes.
Councilmember Lee,
Aye.
Councilmember Hart. You have 2 ayes, and all items 1 to 4 and 6 to 8 are approved.
Thank you so much, Mr. Villanueva. Ms. Ramirez, can we go ahead and move to item number 9, and can you please read that item into the record?
Yes, Madam Chair, that would be item number 5. Item number 5, communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Stacy Daines as the permanent general manager of the Department of Animal Services.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Ramirez. Ms. Daines, could you please come to the table? Thank you so much. And if you'd like to begin by saying a few words, and then we can open it up to questions. If that works for you, works for us. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Hernandez and Council Member Lee. I am honored and humbled, really, to be here with you today to address your questions and hear from the community as you consider confirmation recommendations for General Manager for Animal Services. Undoubtedly, you will want to hear what I will do to improve LAAS. And the truth is, I won't make improvements alone. I won't change the landscape of animal welfare in Los Angeles by myself. No one person can. What I will do as the general manager is provide transparency, expertise, support, and leadership to all levels of our organization, for staff, for volunteers, other welfare advocates, and our elected officials. I will always tell you the truth about what is happening in our shelters. I will always be a lifelong learner. I will be committed to the constant development of my own knowledge and skills in this field. I will deeply invest in our staff and our volunteers so that they too can continue to grow in this work. I will be fearless in the face of adversity, and tenacious in my pursuit of what is right. I will always strive to be worthy of the responsibilities of this position. I will confront the most pressing issues facing animal services, including overcrowding and animal welfare care that our animals are receiving in our shelter, especially access to spay-neuter resources, both inside and outside of the shelters. I've been studying areas for specific change, and I know that there's a lot that is needed at this moment. But I know that the only way to make truly effective, lasting change comes with speaking with those on the ground who are doing this work and cultivating trust. And that takes time. I will listen to and believe in the people doing this work. We will share our experiences and ideas for a brighter future for Los Angeles Animal Services, and we will be enriched through this process of cultivation. And it is from that place of intimate wealth, together as a responsible and compassionate community, that we will work together to ensure that Los Angeles is the most humane city in the nation. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here today.
Thank you, Ms. Daines, for joining us. Councilmember Lee, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I think that Ms. Daines, we spoke about it in our meeting, but some of the things that, I think that are important to me is trying to think outside the box, especially when it comes to our municipal facilities and making sure, trying our best to not, have those out of our systems. I know staffing's an issue throughout the city of Los Angeles, so I know the different challenges, but if we can think outside the box on how to use Mission Hills location. We spoke about unadoptable animals, meaning animals whose owners are, in the hospital or other different emergencies. So animals that aren't adoptable, where we're not doing adoptions, to have those animals there to relieve some of the overcrowding at some of our other locations. opening back to no appointments and more of an open house. I think our numbers have gone down on adoptions because we have had that appointment system set up. And I really, for a while now, I don't know why we haven't gone to the full regular hours like we used to. Loaning out of feral cat traps, we have a huge problem. Loaning those out, there's a lot of people out there that I think would be willing to have some of these to be able to do spay and neutering, so we can bring them in and then, of course, humanely release them back. And then, of course, trying to offer free spay and neutering to the general public. I think that is something that maybe will cost more money up in front, but I think we'll see the results, down the line for the city of Los Angeles, where we don't have as many, wild animals being reproduced out in there. And of course, working with our volunteers. That is something that is, it's always a challenge. You and I talked about it. The volunteers for animal services are very passionate people who care deeply about it. And, those are the things that I hope that you sort of address and you take a look at when you take on this position.
I really appreciate your obvious care and understanding of the extremely complex issues that are facing animal services. You touched on just the laundry list of all the things that we are facing, and I think the most important aspect of what you are talking about is connection with our community, bringing all of those very important stakeholders together to achieve those goals. There needs to be a network between all of us, the staff, the volunteers, the community advocates, private citizens who are just trying to do the right thing by engaging in the services that we provide, like spay and neuter of roaming cats. And I am very confident that my experience as a shelter operations director and a director for animal services with the city of Long Beach, where I've been very effective in bringing down euthanasia rates, bringing the community together to work together to create that safety net that is a network, will address not only the issues that you've mentioned, but ones that we can't even foresee right now. So I really appreciate that care. And to me, it sounds very much like, and based on our conversation yesterday, and what I know of you, council member, is that the department and myself will receive a tremendous amount of support from you to be able to bring about these very important initiatives.
Thank you.
Thank you, council member. Thank you, Ms. Daines. I have some questions. First, thank you for joining us. Very excited to, move this process forward so that we can begin to do the real work for some of our most vulnerable, living creatures in the city of Los Angeles, which are a big priority for us, both in this committee, but also because our team is very child light and pet heavy in City Hall, and we just, it's a priority for us. What tangible tools would you use to ensure transparency and build trust within the community?
So I think, like I said before, really making connections with people and growing those connections. Transparency is all about us telling our story and being really open to the experiences of others. Many people in Los Angeles and animals have experienced animal services in a variety of different ways. Incredibly positive ways and some very negative ways. And it's important for the department to understand how that has impacted not just those people, but the animals that have come after. And I think it's very critical that, absolutely critical, that we understand that when animals are suffering, it is because people are suffering. And we need to identify animal services as a human welfare delivery system. And so I would make so many connections with not just our rescue communities and the animal advocates. Those are incredibly important. But there is a wealth of resources within the city of Los Angeles and outside of the city, interdepartmentally, where we can find ways to work together, whether it's housing, whether it's health, general services, all of those areas we can work together to really address the foundational issues that are happening in animal services, the functional issues, and the cultural issues. So I would absolutely reach out and ask for help and offer our expertise in the areas that other departments may be struggling in. I would also really, we're going to be talking. We're going to be talking so much. And you are going to have a lot of insight for me, and I will have a lot of information for you to consider. And I am absolutely confident, just like I was talking with Councilmember Lee, that your office will be very supportive and interested in helping animal services, not just in spirit, but in actual, tangible, legislative ways. And that is something that I will absolutely put at the very top of my agenda.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And you said something that is leading me to my next question, but you're at the intersection of a lot of crises and issues. Because when humans are suffering, their animals do suffer. And what I've heard a lot from my district is that, especially people who aren't able to have pets or have had to give up pets, is because of living in an apartment. And so you are, in August, people have to pay back rent, which what's being said is that there will be potentially a wave of evictions, which hopefully there's not. But that will come potentially with the wave of new pets coming in there. And so, which I hope not either. What are your thoughts on that? Do you have any plans on how to prevent that as much harm from happening, making sure that pets and families are staying together? Anything come to mind for you?
Yeah, so there are a lot of opportunities, and there are already organizations in the city of Los Angeles that are working very hard to address this very issue. Los Angeles Animal Services has played a somewhat passive support role to those organizations, have allowed them to come in, have encouraged them to come in and to help people that are in those situations at the shelter. It's critical we amplify that to not only understand how we can support the programs, but how we can be really creative about potentially looking at the way we've always done things and changing that and rethinking our approach to how we address the pipeline that is animal services, the pipeline of animals coming into the shelter, and really looking at the analytics of what does that prevention look like? And I'll tell you right now, anecdotally, it is far less expensive and costly to the taxpayer to help a person who has an animal issue with their animal issue before that animal comes to the shelter than for the city to take on all of the medical care for that animal, because it will be extensive by the time that animal comes to the shelter, and then finding placement for that animal when that animal already had a family and a loving home. So I want to challenge our thinking about how we approach those issues, and we need to rethink that expeditiously.
Agreed. Very much agreed. Thank you. So when we just came in, got elected and sworn in December. Yeah, thank you. We came in mid-budget cycle. And so we only got to make certain impacts, which we're very proud of and excited about, but we didn't get to go through the entire process. You would potentially be coming on board right before the departments need to submit their letters to the mayor, right, around their budget. How will you catch up to ensure that you can have a really, like a letter that you're asking for the whole pie and not crumbs? Because this department has gotten crumbs for a long time, and our animals are suffering because of it. Our shelters, like walls are coming off on shelters in CD1, the Lacey Street one, and we're seeing pets longer and longer stays there. So have you put any thought onto how you're gonna make sure that you can make the best of your first budget cycle?
Absolutely. This is a discussion that I've had briefly with current staff that are already here. And the department knows very much what they need. And they know what their asks are, and I am in support of what those requests have been. I think it's important for us to, this is a time for us to reevaluate the operation and to look at reorganization and to really see if what we're doing is meeting the needs of not just our organization, but the community. We've just come through a pandemic that taught us so much about flexibility, changing our minds, changing our approach, changing our lives. And a lot of that change doesn't come from dollars and cents. It comes from simply thinking in a different way and using a different approach. So I would like to see us not only request items that we need, but really evaluate what we're going to need in the future, and are we setting ourselves up for success and sustainability? I'm very confident in the staff that are currently with the shelter who understand all of the past budget requests and the climate. So I will be relying heavily on them. I will also be looking to our community, the people that have a great stake in our success, and hearing from them about what are the things that we are doing or not doing that are helping or harming. And that'll be a really important part about developing those budget letters and making those requests.
Thank you so much. And I have one last question. I really appreciate you for giving us these answers. But can you speak a little bit about a couple of programs you instituted in Long Beach, specifically the Compassion Saves model and the Neuter Return program?
Sure. So I'll talk first about the Community Cats program, which we historically called the SNR program, or the Shelter Neuter Return. That's not a program that I implemented in Long Beach. It was a program that I implemented in San Jose. It was the first of its kind in the nation for municipal animal shelters. So no municipal animal shelters were out transparently conducting this sort of a program. We were the first, but that way was paved by many, many privately run organizations, much like Stray Cat Alliance, doing the work with no resources, no support, and sometimes in secret. So what we looked at to implement that program was simply, it was a numbers game, honestly. I'll be very honest. That program was not born out of we shouldn't be killing all these animals. It was born out of why are we spending all this money on killing all these animals? And what we discovered was that our lengths of stay were extraordinary. Our budgets for caring for those animals, the food, the litter, the labor, everything was highly, highly costly. And what we understood is that the program would be widely supported because so many people were already using the program. And so we simply decided, we made a decision. We didn't change anything about our operation. We simply decided that we would be the source for trappers and rescuers to obtain free spay-neuter services. And it absolutely changed the entire landscape in municipal sheltering across the nation. So I'm very proud of that program. I learned a lot. Programs now have developed certainly beyond our inception in San Jose, and so many amazing things are now being done for community cat programs, foster care programs, behavior and enrichment programs for animals, because frankly, shelters were drowning in cats, and that was the only thing animal shelters were able to do, was to catch animals, wait for a minute, and then kill them. With this program, it opened the way for animal shelters, specifically municipal shelters, to become life-saving entities in and of themselves. I'm very, very proud of that, and I'm very grateful to all of the people who did the very hard work before me that made that possible. The Compassion Saves model was a model that was developed in 2019 in the city of Long Beach, and it was inspired by the no-kill movement. We recognized in the city of Long Beach that the term no kill was very strong. It's a very strong message. and it seems succinct, but it was also really confusing. And it also focused on what not to do. It didn't focus on what are the next steps. And so we decided that we embrace no kill, but what do we do after we don't kill animals? What's the next thing? And so we focused all of our effort and energy on just that. The next thing that we do is we do our best to foster every animal, to adopt every animal, to blow open the doors for volunteers, and to really give people a reason to donate to their animal services department. And the real foundation of Compassion Saves is community engagement. It's getting out into the streets, into the neighborhoods, and talking with people and meeting them where they are and providing them the help and services right there on the ground. So I'm really proud to have been part of developing that. One of my mentors, the late Gerardo Moet, who has since passed away, was the architect of Compassion Saves. He was not an animal activist. He was a city manager. He was a parks director, but he was also one of the kindest, most compassionate human beings I've ever met. And it was his vision that enabled us to do what we've been able to do in Long Beach, which is adopt almost 2,000 animals from less than 100 when we first started doing adoptions over a decade ago, to having more active volunteers than we ever have before, to not having to euthanize a single animal because we don't have space in the shelter for 5 years. And I'm very, very humbled to have been a part of that, and very proud of that work.
Thank you, Ms. Daines. Councilmember, anything else?
How do I get my dog to stop sleeping on my bed?
You got to sleep on the floor.
That sounds right.
He's
In
gonna
my
sleep where
house.
you
Yep,
sleep.
happens in my house. Thank you, Ms. Daines. Last thing I'll say, and I'll close this out, is that would really love to figure out how we can partner together on giving, dogs that have been tagged for behavioral issues another opportunity. We've been looking into different, opportunities for training or, so I would love to figure out how we provide these pets a second chance. And I think we can do that. So that's just one thing I hope we can partner on and really figure that out. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I really respect this mayor's, search that she conducted, and her careful consideration. So I'll be voting to approve your appointment. I hope you know that this committee is always open for you to come and share what you're working on. But similarly, we'll be using this forum to hold the department accountable. Because again, this is a priority for a lot of us. Councilmember Lee, his dog is so cute.
That's all we do. We just look at pictures
Yeah.
of each other's dogs.
Dog pictures. That's how we roll. But it means a lot to us that we get to have this opportunity to both work with you and hold this department accountable and bring it to the 2023. We will be using. So I said that already, but thank you so much for being here. Anything else you want to add to close out, Councilmember Lee? Thank you, Ms. Daines. Really appreciate you and look forward to the next step.
Thank you.
Mr. Villanueva, can we do the vote, please?
Ready, Madam Chair. Councilmember Hernandez,
Yes.
Councilmember Lee,
Aye.
Councilmember Hart, 2 ayes, and the item is approved, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Mr. Villanueva. All right, team. Okay, great, thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Villanueva. You're gonna
Yeah.
take us to the next step.
Yeah, on item number 8, Madam Chair, I'd just like to seek clarification because item number 8 was heard by the ad hoc on 2028 Olympics and Paralympic Games, and their action was approved as amended. I was just would like to confirm if the committee intends to concur with the action taken by
Yes,
the.
Mr. Villanueva.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. So, Mr. Villanueva, is there anything else before our committee today?
The desk is clear, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Villanueva. Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. The committee meeting is now adjourned. We'll see everybody, whoever wants to go in council.